Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and welcome again to Penguin Live TV. My name is Stephen. I am going to be your host this evening, and joining me tonight we have Sue.
Hello, everyone. Lovely to see everyone tonight. We'll be answering a few questions tonight. So enjoy the penguins and thanks for having me tonight, my first night. Woo!
All right, so offer a big welcome to Sue in the comments. She's going to be looking at all the comments on YouTube and maybe Facebook, and hopefully we'll get to answer your questions live on air tonight. But if we don't, if you put your comments on Facebook or your questions on Facebook, we have a team of rangers who should be answering those within the next 24 hours or so. So don't be shy. We love your questions and we want to answer as many as we can. We've been getting some really good questions over the nights. So I do want to say a big welcome to all of our new viewers who may have been tuning in for the first time tonight. We're waiting to see our penguins here on Phillip Island. And a big welcome back to our return viewers who've been coming in night after night. We love to see you guys, and we love all your questions you have for us as well. So as we're looking across this beautiful beach right now, you can see that the sky is still fairly bright, even though the sun has set, but it's slowly getting darker and darker. So we're not too far away from our penguins' arrivals. So we'll just be patient and wait for it to get nice and dark because our penguins always come home under the cover of darkness or the safety of darkness. Any early birds that come out a little sooner will be more at risk than the wiser penguins who wait for the right time. But this beautiful beach that you can see as I pass across is Phillip Island. We are on the Summerland Peninsula, a fantastic, lovely island. It's home to the little penguins. We want to take this moment to acknowledge the land that we're on and pay our respects to the traditional custodians of the land, the Bunurong. And I also pay my respects to their elders, both past, present, and emerging. And maybe in the comments, let us know who the traditional custodians of the land where you are viewing from are. You might be watching from the Bunurong land, or you might be watching from another traditional custodian land. So let us know in the comments who the traditional custodians are of the land where you are viewing from. Now the penguins might be spending a little time in the ocean last night. Last night they started crossing the beach at 8:17, which is a fairly late start for us, but it was a very sunny day and the tide was all the way out. But again, tonight we have a very low tide, not quite as sunny, so if we're lucky, the penguins won't make us wait as long as they did last night. So we'll just keep scanning around. I'm going to zoom out into the ocean. Maybe we'll see a raft of penguins out there. Now, for our new viewers, you might be wondering what a raft of penguins is. It's the naming we use for a group of penguins in the ocean. A raft, like a raft you see out on the water, our penguins will bunch up into tight-knit little groups out there, and they're going to be trying to come home in the safety of numbers. They want to come home in the dark, under the cover of darkness, because there are predators in the daytime who might try and snag a little penguin for dinner. But if they come home at night, those big scary predators, those birds of prey, should go to sleep. And it should be safer for our penguins, but in case there's any late night birds flying around looking for a late night snack, our penguins are going to bunch up into nice large groups, rafts, if you will, till they come to the shore and they're going to cross that beach with the safety of numbers. Maybe let us know in the comments if you see any rafts of penguins out there. I'm looking, but I can't see anything just yet. I'm fairly confident, though, that there are penguins out there. And as we're waiting for our penguins, I do want to let you know that you are watching this very much in large part thanks to the Phillip Island Nature Parks. That's who we are here at the Penguin Parade. We're part of the Phillip Island Nature Parks, which is a not-for-profit conservation organization. We're taking care of the penguins here on the Summerland Peninsula. And we're also taking care of about 1,800 hectares of land on Phillip Island. This entire southern coast that we're looking at right now is under our jurisdiction. You might be spotting that flashing light in the distance. That would be Cape Woolamai, the southeast corner of this island, right there. We are on the southwest corner of the island, so we're looking almost across our entire island right now. It's maybe a 20-minute drive to get towards that lighthouse. and several, maybe half an hour hike or so. But that entire southern coast is under our care. We protect all of the native species of plant and animals that do call this island their home. I'm not seeing too much on the water just yet. Our penguins might be making us wait a little bit before they start coming closer to shore. That's all right. They can come home when they're ready. Well, as we're waiting, I might pan across this beach. Our penguins usually start coming up first across this end of the beach, but occasionally we will see penguins coming up across this beach as well. And tonight we have 2 rangers counting our penguins. We've got Paul in the white skybox there. That's a white building that you can see above the 2 main stands we have. His job is to count all of the penguins on this side of the beach. And we have Linda, who's just going down to her stand, and she will be counting the penguins on the far end of the beach on one of the pathways down there. Paul said he found a couple of penguins somewhere on the water's edge. Not sure if they're still around. We'll quickly have a quick scan and see if we can find them. Oh, I don't see any penguins. It is still really bright outside. I'm going to zoom in and we'll see if we can spot them. Well, those are silver gulls right there. Those are definitely not our penguins. Don't worry, they're not predators of our little penguins. The silver gulls are too small. Oh, I see some penguins in the water there. They might bully our penguins a little bit, but they definitely are not going to try and eat the little penguins. And we got a few right in the shallow water here. They're not even stepping foot onto land just yet. You might see a couple of little penguin heads sticking out of the water. Ooh, there we go. Now this is a small group, and they're going to be very timid with such low numbers and with such brightness. So expect them to run back into the water, hopefully right now at least, and maybe a couple of more times until the numbers start to bolster and until they get a bit more confident. You can see the silver gulls. They're bullying these little penguins. They're saying, "Get out of here, guys. You're not welcome just yet." This is fantastic to watch. You get to see a bit of interaction between 2 different species. Now the silver gulls are also coming up to their breeding season, so they're getting a little aggressive as well. When the silver gulls have their babies, they like to bully any other potential competitions for their food. And being that they are seagulls, they're not the smartest of all the animals. They don't realize that penguins eat an entirely different sort of food from them. They're just trying to bully any other birds that they see around, keep them away from their food sources. So if you see these silver gulls harrying our penguins, maybe pecking at them, trying to intimidate them, that's perfectly normal behavior. The seagulls are not the most pleasant of birds in the world, but they're doing what is perfectly natural for them, and they're no real threat to our penguins. But in case we do see any injured penguins tonight, we do have a wildlife clinic here at the Penguin Parade where we can take care of any sick or injured native wildlife. Paul will be the one in charge of taking them to our hospital and setting them up in a comfortable little bed, going back into the ocean again, making sure they're taken care of until our specialists can get in the morning and make sure that they can take proper care of them. And if you wanted to help our wildlife clinic, where we take care of lots of little penguins, but other seabirds as well. Oh, there's a nice raft swimming in. Then hit that link that's in the description for the Penguin Foundation. That's our charity organization, and you can donate to them. And the money that you donate will go to help a lot of animals in the wildlife clinic, and as well as helping a lot of other conservation work we do here. That is a nice big group. Look at them just washing up on the shore like that. Fantastic. All right, I reckon there'll be a few brave penguins in this group right here. We'll just have to see if any of those brave penguins get to the front and they start leading the charge. Most penguins prefer to follow other penguins. Very few like to take control coming out of the beach first. You don't want to be at the very front of the line and then turn around and realize that everybody behind you has gone back to the ocean and you're there all by yourself. Penguins very much feel safer when they have numbers. Got another group on the right that might join these guys. Let's see if I can get them into frames. Now these are groupings of convenience. These are not groupings of families or hunting parties or fishing parties. These penguins are joining up purely for convenience of getting across the beach safely. Look at them. They look like they're going back. Half of them have made it back into the water. The front half are holding their ground. They're wondering what all the chickens at the back are doing. They're trying to encourage them out of the ocean. They want to get going. All right, look at them go. That looks like they're getting ready to make a really solid effort at crossing the beach. Fantastic. Now, poor Paul is going to have to count all of these penguins crossing right now. And he's going to have a hard time because half of them look like they're crossing, and the other half, the ones at the back, they look like they've gone back into the water. Let's see if I can get them. Yeah, quite a few of them have gone back into the water in the top left of the screen there, but let's follow these brave souls coming out of the ocean. They're not intimidated by any of these silver gulls that are flying around and waddling around them. Now, in the comments, put a guess as to how many penguins you think are in this first group. We'll send you through the numbers. That is a tricky one tonight. They've separated around that first rock and are clambering over the rocks. And don't forget to count those few stragglers in the back as well. They'd be counted in that first group. Now these penguins are going on a journey home this evening. It is well into the breeding season. We have lots of babies in the colony, lots of chicks, lots of eggs, and we've even seen a few chicks on our live stream as well. So hopefully be able to show you them tonight. No promises. We never know what's happening in the colony during the daytime. The pink chicks can always get a bit lost overnight. They might wander into another burrow looking for their parents. They won't wander too far away, but far enough away that we lose track of where they've gone. But don't worry, as soon as mom and dad come back to their burrow and start looking for them, those chicks are going to find their mom and dad. They've just gone over to the neighbor's house to play with the other kids. I love watching these guys just leaping over these little rocks we have on the beach. And these penguins that we're watching are called the little penguins because they are the world's smallest penguins. Each of these guys is about 33 centimeters tall, around a kilogram in weight. And being that they are the world's smallest penguins, they're also the ones that are most vulnerable when they're coming out of the ocean because those predators can easily grab such a tiny animal like this and take him home for dinner. Compared to the bigger species of penguins, like the biggest one, the emperor penguin, well over a meter tall. Those guys, when they're full adult size, they don't have to worry about any birds of prey, really. They can take care of themselves. And all of these penguins that we're looking at crossing this beach, all of these penguins are adults. None of them would be babies. Once the babies head into the ocean, they'll be looking about the same size as these adults. And any babies who are younger than these adults will be stuck at home, or smaller than these adults will be stuck at home. They won't be ready to go swimming just yet.
So Stephen, Nicholas Gillen would like to know how we get foxes off the beach.
What a great question. So Nicholas is wondering, how do we get foxes off the beach? Well, luckily here on Phillip Island, we are a fox-free island. There are no more foxes on Phillip Island. We've been fox-free for several years now, and that's been a very big task to achieve because we used to have foxes here on Phillip Island. Even 5-6 years ago, there were still a couple of foxes left on the island. But back in the 90s, we started a fox eradication program trying to get rid of all of the foxes off Phillip Island. And foxes are very much an invasive pest here in Australia. They are absolutely awful for the environment. You could say foxes have had a hand in the vast majority of our land mammals' extinctions over the last 200 years, and we've lost about 10% of our land mammals here in Australia over the last couple of hundred years. And foxes have had a very big hand in a lot of those extinctions. So we were very keen to get rid of the foxes off of Phillip Island because one fox could kill 40 penguins a night. In a night, I should say. And that's a lot of penguins being killed by foxes. So we were very keen to get rid of them. And back in the 90s, we started a Dobbin a Fox telephone number where people, if they saw a fox in the community, would call us and our rangers would go out and try and catch them, trap them, or get rid of them in a variety of ways. And we started having to use different techniques as well because foxes are very clever. We had to put out baits for them. We used sniffer dogs. So we still have sniffer dogs. And those sniffer dogs are good at tracking the scat of foxes. They're checking out their trails. And if they smell something interesting, a fox trail, they'll be able to run them around and hopefully track them down. Now, right now, our sniffer dogs are not having too much luck catching foxes on the island because we're not really having any right now. But they are doing some work down in Tasmania and over across the bridge on the mainland where there are still foxes. And they get a lot of workouts. They are very cute, but they're very, very good at their jobs. So we don't have to get rid of foxes off our beaches, Nicholas. We got rid of our foxes off our beaches a long time ago. And that's helping not only our penguins, but a lot of other native species as well. And that includes our critically endangered eastern barred bandicoot. Now, Sue, do we have a number for how many were in this first group?
I'll just check because I didn't quite hear.
All right, Paul was mumbling into the radio. He didn't give us a clear number. So he'll let us know how many. All right, I did hear that one, Sue, thank you. So he reckons it's about 100 in the first group, and I think it was either 50 or 60 in the group behind. Those two groups separated. So all up, if you added those two groups up in one big group, that would have been about 150 penguins in that group. And these guys, some of these guys are keen to get going. They're still jumping into our little pool that we have here. The waterfall is still going down onto the beach. We haven't had too much rain recently, so we'll start seeing this water going down and down. And if we continue to have a bit of a dry spell, it will eventually dry up completely. All right, let's zoom in on some of these cute penguins. Waddling their ways over the rocks, going on the journey home. But these guys, let's see, can I get them into focus? There we go. These guys are just having a fun time on the rocks here. Well, let's swap over to the penguin highway. Nice group coming up close into your homes, going on their journey home.
So Stephen, Samuel, who is 11, would like to know, when is the breeding season over?
Ooh, Samuel wants to know, when is the breeding season over? Now, the peak breeding season happens in the spring and summer months, and it usually ends around January, February time, give or take. And that's because our penguins transition from the breeding season. They change from having babies and raising babies into the molting season, where once a year they lose all of their old feathers and grow on a brand new coat of feathers in one big catastrophic molt. So around February is when we'll stop seeing eggs in the colony, and we'll see the last chicks being raised up and getting ready to kick them out of the house. But our penguins, they can breed throughout the year. We do have an autumn breeding attempt where our penguins will try for babies in the autumn months and maybe even in the winter months, but it's not as abundant with the amount of babies they have, and it's definitely not a very successful time of year for them to try and raise chicks. The food is a bit more scarce in the winter months, in the colder months, comparatively to the summer months. So in the summertime, they're definitely trying to have their babies when they can get enough food for themselves and for their babies. Now, speaking of babies, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. I'm going to see if I can spot any babies in the colony. Might be a shell critter going back to the beach. We're going to pan across. Sorry if I'm moving too quickly. Let's zoom out a little bit more. I can never remember where these babies are hiding. I thought I saw some in that burrow there. Well, that might be the burrow just down here. Let's have a zoom in and see if we can spot these guys. All right, yeah, these are two chicks. They've mostly gotten their adult feathers in. The lighting's a bit better tonight, so they got quite a few brown feathers on them. And I told Sue at the beginning of the night, I was going to ask her what age does she think these chicks might be. It's a bit of a guessing game for us, so we never know exactly the date. But what's your best guess, Sue?
Perhaps about 5.5 weeks.
5.5 weeks is Sue's guess. I think she's very close to that one. They've gotten a lot of blue feathers on them, but they still got quite a few baby feathers left to lose. And won't be long, roughly around 7 to 8 weeks of age, they'll lose all of their baby feathers. And once they lose all of their baby feathers, they should be ready to head out into the ocean. All right. So I'll keep an eye on those guys. We'll see if Mom and Dad come home to feed them tonight. I believe Paul mentioned there might be a large group somewhere around here. Maybe, let's have a look in. Oh, yep, he definitely did spot a nice large group coming across the beach here. It's nice to have eyes on the beach. They let us know over the radio where the large groups of penguins are and where we can find them. There's always so much to see here at the Penguin Parade. We have opened up our doors to Regional Victoria, so if you are watching from Regional Victoria, feel free to come on down and enjoy the show in person. We have very limited capacity, so make sure you book your tickets well in advance, and we're only open on weekends right now. And believe me, we are definitely looking forward to opening up to Melbourne as well once we have the ability to do so, and once you're able to come visit us. So we'd love to see you all down here watching our penguins. And I know I can speak for most of our rangers. We are looking forward to seeing lots of people coming to enjoy our penguins from around the world as well. Look at that big group in the background. We got this lovely big group in the front, big group in the background. We are just spoiled for penguins tonight. I wouldn't be able to tell you how many penguins are in these groups. They're so spread out. And I reckon that group in the background is going to catch the stragglers from this first group of penguins. Crossing the beach is one of the most dangerous parts of a penguin's night. They are most vulnerable on the sand. We can see them quite clearly. They almost appear magically out of the water. And now that we can see them even in the dark, we can see their white bellies on that dark background. It means they are very exposed. If our eyes can see them, then a predator's eyes, maybe a bird of prey's eyes, who are quite a bit more sharper than ours, they will be able to spot them with greater ease than we do. So they're a little bit nervous crossing this beach. They want to make sure they get home safely. Fantastic. And they've really just spread out all over these rocks. I want to zoom in on them, but I don't know where to zoom in. There's a nice little patch in the center of the screen. I could try and get a nice close-up in, but I'll cut out the vast majority of our penguins when I do that. Love them scrambling over. Did we get a number for how many penguins are in that group, Sue?
Sorry.
I think it was 210.
That sounds about right.
I think it was around 210. It's always tricky to hear over the radio when we're talking. Look at them go. Now, I don't know if I mentioned this, but last night we had 2,600 penguins crossing our beach. Another very solid evening of penguin numbers. Any night that we get over 2,000 penguins is simply fantastic. Even during the breeding season, that's a really good number of penguins.
Tess is 7, and she would like to know, are penguins social, and do they have friends?
Well, that's a great question. So Tess, who's 7, wants to know, are penguins social? Do they have friends? Well, penguins are definitely social birds. You can see them all in one big group right here. they'd be making quite a bit of noise as well in the colony, talking to each other, singing to each other. And if you can come visit us in the future, you might be able to see our penguins doing a lot of socialization, grooming each other. No, I'm sorry, preening each other. And they do that to help each other out. They might not even know each other, but they'll still lend a friendly beak to preen each other because they'd appreciate that gesture in return. It's not always that we see it down here on the resting rocks, as I like to call them. We'll see two penguins preening each other, but it's a very common occurrence on the pathways home. Well, that group was crossing the beach has started to make their way through these resting penguins. Right now, we're just seeing a lot of solo penguins preening themselves, making sure their feathers are in proper order before they go on their journey home and see maybe their significant other waiting for them at home. Now, penguins was also asked, do they have friends? And it wouldn't be the same way that humans have friends where you have really good friends that you see all the time. Penguins are fairly friendly to each other. They'll often engage in very social behaviors, even with strangers. Look at that jump. Oh, I love that. The water's a little more shallow this day. He hit the bottom there. Might have been a bit jarring on his spine. But I love this little diving board and watching him jumping in. It's something pretty special. Oh, there we go. Yeah. Always check the depth before you dive into the water, folks. It's never a good idea to go diving in shallow water. All right, let's have a look at this screen here where we get the penguins coming across the Penguin Highway on their journey home. Fantastic views of our penguins just waddling their ways. I'm sure there'll be more groups coming up behind them. Oh, a bit zoomed in on this puddle here. We'll see if any penguins have gone and seen mom and dad at home. Now, unfortunately, it has been very wet here, as you can see from the puddle, so the grass is still very, very tall. It's getting harder and harder to spot our penguins in this long grass. You can see a nice little group of them up there on their journey home. But I wanted to see these penguins down here. I believe these are the babies down here. Doesn't look like mom or dad's there tonight. Don't worry. These penguins can survive several days without food. Mom and dad don't have to come home every single night to feed them. We'll keep an eye on these guys, make sure that we get a catch and a glimpse of them being fed by mom or dad. I do know that there was a baby penguin somewhere up here who lost basically all of their adult feathers. Looks like this one here. Lost all of their baby feathers, sorry. Bit of a scuffle there between a couple of penguins. Not sure what that argument was over. The baby decided he wanted none of that and ran back into the burrow. But have no fear, these babies... Oh, I think that's Daddy Penguin keeping all the other penguins away. This is my home. Stay away from my baby. A very aggressive male outside of his burrow. Has no tolerance. Keep off my lawn signs right in front of his house. Not the most friendly of penguins, but doing a really good job at protecting his babies. We'll see any other dramas happen with this penguin. Sometimes they pick a fight with every penguin walking past. Hopefully he doesn't use too much of his own energy picking needless fights tonight. All right, I'm going to pop over to the Penguin Highway again. There's a nice little group coming across. One penguin stuck on the highway is about to get buffeted by these penguins and waddle its way along as well. You can really see they love to stick together, our penguins. If one of them tends to stop, others will stop as well. And as soon as one of them bumps into that penguin, they're likely to keep going. And just keep jostling each other on their way home. We had that first group going by, and now a second group.
So Tenzin would like to know what's the difference between the penguins that are living, so our little penguins that live in the sea, or, on land here, and the penguins that live in the ice.
Ooh, what's the difference between our penguins here and the penguins that live on the ice a bit farther south? And they are different species. There's quite a few species of penguins on this planet. We got the emperor penguins, the king penguins, the royal penguins, the Gentoo, Adelis. I could try and name them all, but I'd eventually start forgetting which ones I've already named. You got penguins in South Africa. We got penguins even in the Galapagos Island, which is the most northern penguins in the world. And they're all different species of penguins. So they all have different characteristics. They all have different traits. They live in different habitats. And they have different ways of breeding as well. Some penguins use pebbles to attract a mate, or they'll give to a partner to try and woo them. A very shiny pebble is a very attractive thing to have. I like to say some penguins like jewelry. Other penguins, they prefer a bit of mass on their significant other to show that they're good at fishing. And yeah, the bigger penguins that you find down south, like the emperor penguin, the biggest penguins in the world, they have that extra body mass to help keep them warm in the freezing cold weather and temperatures of Antarctica. Whereas in Australia, we have some of the hottest temperatures here. It can hit over 40 degrees here on Phillip Island, which is very hot for a little penguin. And these penguins are small because it helps them to lose that excess body heat really well. They're great at staying warm in cold water, but when it comes to losing body heat, when it's 40 degrees outside, they struggle a little bit more than we do. So the smaller size helps them to lose that extra heat. Same with the penguins in the Galapagos. Those are the second smallest in the world. And the Galapagos is a fairly warm tropical place, being right near the equator. So the smaller penguins tend to live in the warmer climates, and the bigger ones down in the colder ones. Wow, look at them go. Wow, it's just fantastic seeing these guys waddling their way home in such large numbers. I never get old seeing this, ladies and gentlemen. They are simply fantastic birds. And a lot of them are going back home to see their babies. And if they don't have babies yet, I can guarantee you that they're looking at starting to have some babies in the near future. All right, speaking of babies, let's go see if we can spot any more action happening around the babies in the colony as well. I'm really excited seeing babies in the colony. It's been a long time since I've seen fluffy chicks in the colony, so I'm going to be honest. This is my guilty pleasure, having a little sneak peek at the cute little fuzzies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we do have about 5 minutes left in the stream this evening. So if you have any questions, make sure you write them in. Sue might be able to get another one or two questions off before the end of the stream tonight. And if we don't answer them live on air tonight, we'll also try and answer those Facebook questions over the next 24 hours. All right, not seeing too much action here. Looks like the aggressive male might be, oh, is he done? Or is that the baby? Hard to tell. That's definitely the baby there gone and attacking. Oh, and the male getting harassed by the chicks. He's a little grumpy. Those baby penguins, they really do attack mom and dad looking for food, and he looks like he's lost his patience. Decided to take it out on the neighbors walking by. A little bit rude. No need to take out your frustrations on the neighbors. Don't see any parents here at this burrow. Oh, yep, definitely is a parent right there. Well, maybe a parent. These chicks aren't very aggressive in attacking for food, so it's a bit interesting behavior. Usually the chicks are vying to show who's the strongest, who gets fed the most first. Oh, you can see some interesting behavior here. Chick saying, feed me, I'm hungry. Very important for them to show that they're strongest of the two, because because the strongest one will be fed first. And, ooh, a little too rough there. You scared away your own mother, giving her a peck in the face like that. That's a bit rude. It's good to show them you're strong, but you don't want to hurt them too much. Any more questions from the guests, viewers tonight, Sue?
AJ Cypher wanted to know if snakes eat penguins.
Interesting question. Do snakes eat our penguins here? And here on Phillip Island, we have one species of snake. It is a copperhead, a very timid snake. They are venomous, but no, they do not eat our penguins. They're not looking for any large animals. It's like a penguin to eat, be a bit too large for them. There is always the chance that they might go after an abandoned egg, but I don't think we've ever observed that happening. So no snakes here on Phillip Island will eat our penguins. Which is lucky for our penguins, because here in Australia there are quite a few snakes. I can't answer for the rest of Australia, but I can imagine the snakes get too large around the southern coast. Being a bit chillier down here. You have to go a bit farther north to get the massive snakes. But I could be wrong. You never know. There might be some snakes in Australia who do prey upon penguins. Let me know in the comments if any of you do know of snakes that do eat penguins. That'd be something that would be an interesting tidbit of information. Wow, massive group right here. I can't tell you how fantastic it is to see such large numbers of penguins coming in night after night after night. We truly are very lucky here on Phillip Island to have such a wonderful habitat reserved just for our penguins. And my goodness, they're still coming in. These penguins are very lucky to call Phillip Island their home, because our job here is to help give them a safe habitat, give them a lot of safe places to live. And that's what penguins need to thrive, is a place to call their own. That's one of the reasons I became a ranger, is I love the environment. I have since I was a child. I grew up in the Canadian Rockies and just absolutely always been fascinated by the environment, how to take care of it. And found they were advertising positions here in Australia to be a penguin ranger, and I thought, I have to do this. I absolutely love animals, and I've never been able to work with penguins before in my life, and who would turn up an opportunity like that? It's a pretty special job working here as a ranger at the Penguin Parade. And if you wanted to help our penguins, just as I try to help our penguins here, you can always donate to our Penguin Foundation, our charity organization. The money that we do receive does go back to helping our penguins as another massive group. It goes into our wildlife clinic, which is very important for the sick or injured penguins we may see. And it also goes towards a lot of the conservation work we do, revegetation, making their habitats suitable for penguins, getting rid of all of the invasive weeds, plants, and animals which harm penguins or don't help them to breed. And it's a lot of work. We manage 1,800 hectares of land. It's not an easy process keeping that land penguin friendly with all the invasive weeds we have here on Phillip Island, but we do our best, and the penguins have definitely appreciated our efforts because they've been growing in population, growing in numbers, and it's simply fantastic to see. I reckon this group might be one of the last big groups we'll see tonight. Oh, we got a nice group coming up on the Penguin Highway. I love watching them waddling their way home. They're feeling more confident as the night has fallen. These penguins are going on their journey home, and it's time for us to head on our journey home as well. So we might say goodbye to you here. I do want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much, and hopefully we'll see you again tomorrow night. Thanks, everyone. Take care.